Hey, welcome everybody to today's lesson. Now I'm sorry if you're sick of me selling the book at the start of the lesson, but I'll quickly do so one more time. Good news today, there is a physical version of the book now available. It's a black and white copy for £20. I've tried to get the price down basically. There's a black and white copy available for £20 and there's a colour version available for £35 on Amazon. I'll put the links under the video once I've finished this class, which will be in about 15-20 minutes. But if you look on Amazon for visual phrasal verbs, you will find this book. So the black and white version is £20, or I think that's about $30, and the colour version is £35. It's more expensive, unfortunately, and that would be about $45. But of course, if you prefer to get the colour version in PDF form, that's much cheaper. That's on my website, Skypelessons.com, Skype-lessons.com. And if you go to that website, it's my website, you'll be able to buy the PDF for £20. Remember, the PDF is very printer friendly. If you're a teacher and you want to use it with your students, I totally understand. You can easily print that version off different pages and pass it around the class. And with the PDF version, you have got loads of hyperlinks, inside the book. So you can click immediately to the answers. If you click on answers on page blah, 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 you'll be able to go immediately to the answers for those questions. So please use the hyperlinks. I'm not sure that everybody understands that there are hyperlinks in the PDF version. So do start using your mouse. You can click on those links where it says answers on page so and so, and you can jump back to the exercise as well when it says from page so and so, and you can use the index, the contents page, right at the start for going to the page you want. So I just wanted to mention the book's still there, it's still selling well, so thank you to everybody who's already bought a copy. Please get in touch with me or leave a comment if you've had any problems at all. I will sort it out, definitely, if you haven't managed to get the copy of something that you've bought. So do get in touch with me if you've had any problems. But I think everything's working at the moment because I'm not getting any emails that something's not right. Now we're doing common mistakes today, of course. I want to show you 10 different mistakes that my students have made over the past few weeks, and we'll correct those mistakes. I'm feeling a little bit better today. You might notice I've still got a rash on my face. I've had dermatitis for about 3 months now. And so in different videos, you've probably noticed that I've been looking, well, now I've got something on my face. But anyway, it's calmed down today, I'm pleased to say. And if we look at the very first mistake, 4.35 was what the students said, or something like that. And I understand why the students made this mistake, because if we talk about websites, we certainly do say Skype-lessons.com. So we do say dot when it's in a website. If we're talking about Amazon.com, which is where you can get the book, physical copy, Amazon.co.uk, we'd say dot for each of these. But we don't do that in mathematics. We don't do that with these, which are called decimals in English, decimals. With decimals, you need to say 4 point... sorry, I don't know what happened there. You need to say 4.35. And that means we don't even say 35. We actually say 4.35, okay? 4.35. So that's how you print, that's how you say a decimal. 2.5, 1.5, 1.025. So you need to say each of these numbers separately after the decimal point. Okay? So 4.35 for that one. The next student, this isn't a mistake, this is actually correct technically, but it was a mistake when the student used this sentence. So the student was doing practice for the CAE exam, and we were doing speaking practice. We were practicing the speaking part, and the student looked at a photo which showed lots of people taking photos with their cameras of someone famous, and they said this famous person might come out of the theatre. Now, it's not the correct tense for the modal verb. There are two much better tenses that the student could have used, and there I'm using one right there, could have used. That's a past modal form. Notice it's could, the modal verb, plus have, plus the third form of the verb. So what the student really ought to have said is this person might have come out of a theatre, and then it would have been fantastic. It shows in these speaking exams, FCE speaking, CAE speaking, IELTS speaking, you very often need to speculate. And to speculate, it's great to use past modals, okay? So this person might have come out of a theatre would sound great. But another thing which would sound pretty good is might be coming out of a theatre. But of course, that's present continuous. But it would have also worked. It would have sounded okay. The person might be coming out of a theatre if they're in the middle of coming out of the theatre. Or the student might have come out of the theatre. Sorry, the famous person might have come out of the theatre if they have already done so, and that's why they're taking photos. Okay, number 3, we have a lot of economical problems. This is a misunderstanding with this particular word. Economical is a word, but it's an adjective which means that somebody is careful and good with money. They don't waste money. And so if something is an economical purchase, it's something which you've considered carefully and you haven't wasted money. But it's quite a rare word, that one. What we want to say is economic problems, because these are problems pertaining to the economy. If your economy, the economy of your country, has some problems, you need to call them economic problems and not economical problems, okay? So this is a second adjective which means something slightly different than the other adjective, economical, which just means very little waste. If you do something economically, you do it with very little waste. Okay, we have talked for 2 hours yesterday. That's the main word here, yesterday. Remember that you mustn't use present perfect when you say when. That's probably one of the most common mistakes in English that foreign speakers make. They use present perfect and then they say at 3:15 or yesterday or 3 days ago, and it's not allowed. It's the kind of mistake that natives will immediately hear as well. So please try to get that out of your speech. Remember, no present perfect, only past simple if you say something like yesterday. Okay? Next one, I'm not sure I would send him to the prison. Now this is very almost correct. The only thing wrong is the article. Send him to prison, because here we're talking about a criminal who will be a prisoner, and we don't use an article for criminals in prison, for convicts, yeah? You mustn't use an article for prison if you're talking about somebody who is a prisoner. He is in prison, not in the prison. He's in prison, he was sent to prison, and he will stay in prison until his sentence finishes. So please remember, no article before prison for prisoners, no article before hospital for patients, no article before school for pupils, before university for students, before church for churchgoers. Okay? The next one is I totally understand this mistake, because we usually say collective nouns need singular verbs, but there is an exception, and this is the exception. The police are underpaid. We use plural with the police, okay? All other collective nouns are supposed to be singular when they're singular forms. So the government is, my family is, that's academic style. I'm not saying that native speakers say that, because they often don't. They often say the government are, the BBC are, but academic guidelines advise us to lean towards singular with collective nouns. But the police, that's an exception, okay? So the police are. Okay, number 7, she got married with him. Preposition mistake here. Always get married to someone or marry someone. So she married him would also be correct. Marry doesn't have a preposition when it's just to marry someone. So to marry somebody. Okay, no preposition with marry, but get married to someone. Next one. If a cheaper version would be sold in Brazil, I would buy it. So this student wanted to use a second conditional sentence, but I want to really emphasize that you shouldn't use would in both parts. You shouldn't use would in the if part. So we're going to get rid of would be, and we're just going to use the past tense of be. And we're going to use were rather than was, simply because second conditional is hypothetical, which means it sounds good in subjunctive. This is a subjunctive form of to be. If a cheaper version were sold in Brazil, I would buy it. That sounds very nice. It's very royal kind of English with subjunctive. Subjunctive always sounds very formal, and certainly it sounds like you're a good English speaker if you're using subjunctive. Next one, they brought him to the near hotel. This is just a mistake with the preposition near, because near is a preposition. It is not an adjective, okay? The adjective is nearby. And so if we change that to a nearby hotel, it's great. It's absolutely correct. So they brought him to the nearby hotel, it's good. Okay, and number 10, they published it on the page 28. Again, this is an article mistake. We should take out the, and it's because when you have noun plus number, page 28, room 26, platform 4, don't use an article. Yeah, my train is arriving on platform 4. I am staying in room 28. I live on floor 4 or the 4th floor. That does sound better, but notice it's only when you say 4th floor. That's not you know, an ordinary number. It's 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. Those numbers, I'm not talking about those numbers. I've forgotten what they're called. Is it cardinal or ordinal? I've forgotten, so forgive me. But when you've got noun and then ordinary number, no article. Okay, so I live in room 28. I turned to page 28. No article when it's just noun plus number. Okay, if you have any questions, now is the time to bring them out. So speak up if anyone's out there and they have a question about any of these mistakes or something else which is perhaps slightly related. If not, we're going to hold it there. I'm going to remind you all that the book is still for sale. You're welcome, Olga, with pleasure. So the book is still for sale. It's on Amazon, £20. So just as cheap as the PDF, but black and white version. Okay, yeah, thank you. Ordinal, because they refer to order. They're ordinary, yeah, also, I suppose. Okay, so, yeah, the book is online now. It's on Amazon for £20 for black and white or £35 for colour. Or you can go to my website, which I'd rather you did, and buy the PDF, which is the colour version for £20, and it's at Skype-lessons.com. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I really appreciate all of your support.